How do you stand on gay marriage and those type of things?
Personally, I would support gay marriage. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like it, but the way I look at it is, this is one of those unintended consequences of science. You know, you have in vitro fertilization, so you now have gay couples that actually have children. Marriage does make it easier for a family raising children. So for that, I would support it personally. I do believe it should have gone on the ballot and people should have a chance to vote on it. As I say, personally, I would vote in favor of it, but it should go on the ballot.
Okay. Okay, how about the death penalty?
I support the death penalty. You know, I mean, in this state, it'd be hard to get in. You know, I suppose as a benchmark, I'd say, you know, anyone who's a multiple murderer, if you kill more than one person, you should be, you know, at least eligible for the death penalty.
Going back, I just dovetailing, I guess, from one of the comments that you just said, he says, in this state, how do we get this done?
Right.
With the tax plan that you had, that we were just discussing with the sales tax and the like, how do you get that done in a legislature that obviously is predominantly Democrat, and a legislature that clearly is not only in the one house, in the House, but also in the Senate?
I actually think it's worse in the Senate.
Yeah,
it's only
it's
4
worse,
out
of
of
course,
40.
right. How do you suppose going in there, I mean, do you suppose going in there, crashing the doors down and saying we need to make it 4%, or is it something where you need to work with the legislature to try to gain some?
I mean, you know, I mean, you go in, you work on what you can work on. Obviously, Deval Patrick's the governor, so even if we're able to get this through the House, he's going to veto it. Really, what we need to do, and you know, again, as I say, Republicans, we've been running on this 5% income tax reduction for 10 years. It's a good issue, but it's not an issue that, you know, the voters aren't that energized about. What you can do is go in with an agenda and you work on certain issues. If you look at this time, you know, this last session, you've had Sean O'Connell has done big stuff on bringing the EBT abuses to, you know, to the forefront. Got to start on that. Nice bill, plenty to go. Same thing, Jim Lyons has been on the healthcare for illegal aliens. So what you can do is, there are certain issues you can cherry pick to maybe work and advance those, but really what we need to be doing is setting an agenda as a party to go forward. You know, if we could go in, steer the debate, you know, my third priority is the MBTA, no bailout, because that's going to be the first issue up for discussion in January. They've already said they want to come in, they want to, you know, raise taxes to bail out the tape. So as a party, we have to go in and fight that. And if we could stop that, build on that momentum, and hopefully in 2 years, there'll be a Republican governor we can work with to actually implement an agenda. But you have to start taking those baby steps going forward.
Okay.
Do you have any follow-up with that?
Well, just with that, locally, okay, we've talked about some of the bigger issues, statewide issues, you know, what within the potential district, within Dracut and Tingsboro, do you think needs to be done in order to either bring funds to the town, or projects that you think need to be done, or something, well, anything of that nature? As
I say, the 20% local aid is the main thing you really have to fight for. You know, all right, maybe we don't get it up to 20, but if we could get it back up to that 18, 19, you know, that'll bring more money to the town for the schools, which we need, police and fire. Also for roads, 80% of the roads in the state of Massachusetts are under the control of the cities and towns, not the state. So, you know, when you're driving down the street and you hit that pothole, that's a local aid issue. Specifically, the school funding, the Chapter 70 formula, I got looking into that a little bit over the summer because of the situation in Dracut. And the formula that's there, it's 20 years old, it's never really been addressed. So it undercounts special education, it undercounts the health insurance benefits for employees, but there's also one little thing in there, this supposed wage adjustment factor, that specifically hurts Dracut and Tingsboro. Dracut loses about $500,000 a year in local aid, because in Chapter 70 money because of it. Tingsboro loses about $300,000. The Volk loses money too, but can't really figure out their funding formula, so I don't know how much it is, but they are also effective.
I interrupt you, but I was on the finance committee for 3 years, and I still don't understand their funding process. It boggles
They just
the
want
mind.
more funds all the time. That's what they want.
That's true.
It's a great school. The kids that go there get a great education.
One of my sons
and
graduated
it's-
there.
There's
Did you graduate?
Absolutely graduated there,
Nothing
and
there, but the-
helped me make my first million.
Yeah.
So there you go.
First man, listen to him. But I'm just saying, it's the funding, and it boggles the mind to try to understand where it comes from. And quite honestly, it seems to be all legitimate as you're reading it.
Well, the school needs more funding because of the programs. The carpentry needs lumber. The electrical department needs copper. They need wire. The plumbing needs copper. Those things are big ticket items in the
I
machineries.
understand it's more expensive to operate, but I mean, if you look at, as Dracut's money has dwindled for the schools, you see the administration lesson. I don't know if you've seen that administrative cutback at the vote.
Let me just say that the one thing that would boggle the mind of somebody is, obviously we know in Dracut we have a new superintendent that's been around there. Superintendent has what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 schools with the superintendent, okay? The superintendent at the one high school, Boag, makes much more money than the superintendent of the Dracut schools, who has not only a high school.
Well,
but
you can also put the Lowell High superintendent in the list.
Right.
How many?
Right. That's exactly
How many
right.
schools do they watch over?
That's exactly right. And then you get this one high school.
But what I would like to know, and I'm sure the voters at home would like to know, is what is different between you and Kathy? Because that's what we need to know, because this coming September 6th, which is a Thursday.
It's a Thursday. Remember that, folks. Thursday election.
They've got to go to the ballot. They've got to decide what's different between you and Kathy, and why should they be voting for you?
Well, again, as I say, we probably have similar issues. I think it's priorities. My thing is, I want to work on that sales tax and the local aid and fight the MBTA bailout. May not be able to get it all the first year, but that's what I'm going to go in and fight for. Kathy, she says the first thing she wants to do is end the automatic pay raise. Again, I'd like to do that, but that's not a legislative thing. That would require a constitutional amendment, which will require at least 4 years, because 2 consecutive legislatures have to vote on it. So you'd vote on it this year, there'd be an intervening election, they'd vote on it again. Then you'd have to collect signatures, put it on the ballot, and have an expensive ballot fight. I'd rather take that money and use it to elect more Republicans rather than to try to repeal that pay raise. Now, 2 things you could do legislatively is end the per diem the state reps get. And by the way, if elected, I will not take the per diem. I work in Boston now. I drive myself to work. I bring my own lunch. I don't need to be paid to go to work, and things like that. The other thing you can do is end the sick time buyback for state employees. We had a case of a housing agency guy who was kind of run out of town on a rail, and on his last day out the door, he took $80,000 in unused sick time. Globe later ran a story that this guy's basically working part-time anyway, so how could it be used in sick time? So I think that's something, I know at BU, I'm in a union, we try to get that sick time buyback every contract, and they laugh at us and say, you're never gonna get it. Public employees should be the same way. If there's a contract now that exists with it, I say fine, at the end of the contract, don't renew it. Anyone who's accumulated time now, they should be able to cash it out because they made assumptions under this system. But going forward, that should be something that should be ended.
So going along with some of the social issues, are there any social issues that you think that need to be brought to the legislature that you found to be important?
I don't know if you count death penalty as a social issue. Some
exactly.
people view it that way. I support the death penalty. You brought up the gay marriage.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
What, gay marriage?
Gay marriage.
Well, as I say, personally, I would vote for it, but I do think, people worked really hard to go out and get signatures to get this on the ballot and to deep six it without giving people a chance to say. And as I say, my name is George Boag. I'm running for state representative in the Republican primary. The primary is on a Thursday this year. It's September 6th. I ask for your vote. If you have any questions about my issues, I have a website, VoteBoag, VoteBoag.com. I have probably 15 or 20 issues on there. If you want to go look them up, if there's an issue there I'm not addressing, send me an email. I'll be more than happy to get back to you with my position. And again, please vote for me on Thursday, September 6th.
All right, great.